Folks, welcome back to the PawnStorm YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be going over another chess opening. This one is the London system. Many of you know this. Many of you, I'm sure, play this one. It's a very beginner-friendly, I should say, opening, and it's also a very reliable opening. It's played it's played on all levels, from amateur levels all the way up to the highest grandmaster levels, and I'm excited to share it with you today, and I hope you get some good knowledge when that you can implement in your own games, I should say, to start to get a handle on the different areas of the London system. So let's jump right into the video. So the London system, you start out with the move d4, and for this first part, we're gonna go from the perspective that your opponent doesn't really challenge you a whole lot, but so in that case, that would look like black plays something like d5, and now you're going to go with this move, bishop to f4. The point of bishop f4 is you really want to keep a handle on the e5 square. Your next moves will be something like, if your opponent plays this move, pawn to e6, you're going to play pawn to e3, and your next moves are going to be knight to f3 and then c3. Your opponent, of course, has many different options to play. In this case, if they play knight to f6, you're going to play knight to f3. And if they play this move, this is an important move, bishop to d6. If they play this move, you're going to slide your bishop back to g3. You'll almost always play this move. The point is, if they take you, you play h takes, so you open up your rook, and in the future, you can maybe even get some eyes down there with the rook, bishop, and queen. If they don't take you, that's fine. If they leave it there and they castle, you're going to play c3. Your next moves here are going to be here, and bishop d3. I recommend bishop d3 first, so that could be something like, let's say queen to e7. Again, you'll always want to make sure that they do not make this move pawn to e5, because if they do that, then you lose all your advantage that you get from the London system. So make sure you have eyes on it. See, here we have these three pieces here. I guess this is the pawn, this isn't a piece, but we have the knight, the bishop, and the pawn guarding the square, so right now it is very well protected. But if they do, after queen e7, let's say we play bishop d3, and they play here, you almost know for sure that they're going to want to play this move. So I recommend going right in with knight to e5. The point is, you do not want to take this. You do not want to take this knight. Instead, you want to just keep a clamp in the center. And the point is, if they take, you take back with the pawn. And I mean, obviously, this is good for you because it's a fork. But in case they do not do that, they do not fall for the fork. They could play a lot of moves. They could play back. They could play like here, and then after castles or whatever. You can go here now. Sorry, it is their move. So, okay, so if they play like this, then you got to be careful. You really have to be careful here, because they have three defenders for that pawn. So in that case, I would recommend trading probably. They will take back with the queen, of course, and then you can play a move maybe like. First of all, you can play knight to d2, and the point of this is you want to play e4 and maybe even open up the position like that. Also, if we go back to this position here and c3, queen e7, bishop d3. Alright, and after bishop d3, the point of this move, of course, like I said before, is to just control this square here, but your biggest thing you're going for is to eventually maybe put a knight there. But if they do not attack you directly, and instead develop it another way, of course you're going to want to attack this way. So that could mean bringing the queen, bringing the knight over here, or also you could bring it that way. If they play knight fd7, you can, like I said before, put the knight there. They're going to want to probably take with the, it depends. In these positions, there's different ways to do it. So you really want to kind of play it by ear and just see how they play this position. So if they take with a knight, of course you're gonna probably want to take with the bishop, the pawn. Sorry, the bishop. The bishop is going to stay there. D takes e5. After that, they'll have to go forward, and then you can even castle here if you want to. What I would do is probably bring the knight first, and then if they go here, attacking the pawn. The pawn is anchoring this one, so you don't really have to be worried about that right now. If they are attacking you though, they only have one attacker here, so you know it's gonna be a long time before. The only other way to attack this is to let's say you castle. The only other way to attack it is with this, where you know if they do that, you're fine with this. I mean, because you get a pawn here, but you know, I would just be careful. I would just be careful. After castles, they don't have to attack it because you guys are still even. So after castles, they could play something like they could go for maybe b6. You know, there's just so many different variations they could play. They could play b6, go for bishop b7, and you know, there's just so many different ways they could play. They could also go this way with, instead of b6, they could go here and try to win the pawn that way, right? So yeah, they could go here, and then they have, you know, even if you attack them, it's, you know, this is a pretty good structure for you, I would say. Except for, you know, these doubled pawns here, it's pretty good. They have to go back, you know. Anyway, you get the idea. Just try to take some of the ideas and, you know, just work with them. Now, if they don't go for e6 and instead try to attack you right away, I would recommend going knight f3. The point is, you're going to, if they set up normally, so like if they, I think the most common thing to do here is probably move one of the knights. This position, it's probably to move. Of course, another variation you need to be aware of is if they play knight to f6 and you play knight to f3 and they play the move c5. This move directly attacks this pawn on d4. If they do play this, there is a handful of different things you can do. So first, okay, so let's say that black sets up in a little bit of a different way. Let's say if they play, let's say bishop f4, we play knight to f3, and they play knight to c6, and now you have to be watching and seeing if they play this move queen to b6, because they will be attacking this pawn, which of course the bishop was defending before, I should say. So in a lot of cases, if they do not play that move queen to b6, then you can just play knight bd2, and they play e6. You can just continue with your normal development and finish your pyramid of pawns. That's what this little formation here, not there, here, these pawns here, they provide a little protection for this bishop, which now has very nice vision on the board. If they castle, what you can do is, oops, sorry. They castle, now you can start your control, or your kind of a clamp on the center. So in some cases you can play that by just a direct knight to e5 push. In many cases, this will just provide you with just total and long-lasting control of the center. Plus, it kind of kicks the knight out. The knight now cannot go forward, so it has to go back here, and now you can start your, like I said, you can start your attack. So for some people, you know, you can castle, that's okay. In some cases of the London, you can even just not castle whatsoever and just go with immediate queen to h5. That's also fine. You got to be careful of if they play a move like this. But of course, even if they do that, you can even get in like here, you know. So if you are in a position like that, just be mindful of what your opponent is playing as black. Just be watching and waiting, and you want to be, especially with the center and with pieces in the center and stuff, you really want to be careful with moves that you play. And again, the London is like a system, so you can play it in different ways. I haven't even started talking about, the Gobava London, but yeah, it's just there's just many different ways you can play it. And if they play it in even a more combative way, let's say, let me see if I can find this. If you land yourself in this position again at this point, so this is like move 3, there are actually some, and I don't recommend this for players who are like above like 12 or 1300, but there's actually a move where you can actually take on c5. The point is, if they try to hang on to if they try to capture back with this move e6, attacking with the bishop, you can play b4, kind of defending. If they try to undermine that defense, of course, you don't play a3 because it can just take, right? So instead, you play c3, and now if they go here, there's actually a pretty nasty trap you can play, which is, the first move you do is you take the knight, which is kind of strange. Normally, you don't see the London bishop, the dark square bishop in the London going away for just a knight on his home square, but just bear with me. So the rook takes, and now you play this move, bishop to f5 check. This is the point of it, because now the bishop has to block, or else the king would, be out in the open, which nobody wants that. The point is, if they play bishop to d7, now you just push c6. And now, even at this point, they're almost already losing, because if they go back, which, you don't really want to trade the pawn for the bishop, because you can take the bishop and then get out. So if they go back, then you have this discovered attack, and you're going to be winning the queen. So I don't know how often this is going to happen to you, but just keep this in mind. This is an idea that I don't know if a lot of people even know about this, but it's just something I saw recently, and it was a pretty interesting kind of a variation of the whole thing. Let's go back to the beginning again. Let's go back fresh from the beginning and get a new board here if we can. Let's start out here from d4, d5, and bishop to f4. So we talked about a lot of things. We talked about knight to f6. We talked about c5. What about if they play, there's a lot of moves that aren't really good. I mean, players who are lower rated might play them, but generally at higher levels, people know what's good, what works, what doesn't. So if they play in a more of a symmetrical position, you can just go with your normal stuff. Like I said, e3, bishop to d3, not king to d3, sorry. Bishop to d3, e3, and c3, and then you can put the knight on d2, or if you want, you can even go for a Gilbava London, which there's a lot of theory on the Gilbava. Again, higher level players know pretty much all the theory, so I wouldn't play a Gilbava position unless you know it pretty well, or if you play it like a lot. So e3 is fine. If they go for like a fianchetto position, that's fine. You can go, there's a lot of different things you can go for. You can go c3 first, that's fine. If they go here, you can play bishop d3. You got to be careful if they trade, of course, because then they can hop in here, and it gets kind of messy from that point on. But again, you can just bring here. If they take you take with the knight, of course, because then you can push with e4, but then get your king castled. Because if they take here, or if they castle, you castle, and then you're going to be bringing a rook or one of these rooks and pushing in the center, and then this is just great for you. If they bring the knight, like I said, you're going to bring the rook, and now it's a question of what's going to happen in the center. If they play here, if they play that, I wouldn't do rook to e1 first. I would play knight to f3, because then you have a nice clamp on the center. So now they can no longer go there. So now they would probably play a move like queen to e8, in which case queen to e8 leading with e5. I would probably go here, and the point is, of course, here, and now they can no longer play that move. That's just one idea. And if they try to, hang on to this pawn, you can go here, and now you're going to be playing more of a central game, so you really got to know what you're doing here. Again, there's like a lot of theory. If you go to like chess.com lessons or something, there's lots of opening stuff with the London at like all levels, all kind of moves and whatnot. But let me just back up here, and let me get a new one here. Okay, bishop f4, and let's say they play knight to f6 next. You can play e3. If they go for a kind of a less combative opening and go for more of a maybe a hyper modern kind of defense, I guess, with g6, bishop g7, you no, don't play g3. Don't do that. You're going to play bishop f4, bishop d3, sorry, here, and you're going to finish your pyramid. And let's say the castle, you're going to play knight to f3 here. Castle's fine. Also, knight to d2 is totally fine as well. Again, always make sure that you're monitoring this e4, e5 square. These are very crucial for the betterment and the development of your pieces for the long term. I think that kind of covers everything. I didn't talk about the Ljubava just because there's a lot of things in there. If we do a little bit of stuff here, I'm going to show you a very, very set up position, I guess, that's very much less combative. The point is you're going to play knight to c3, and the point of the Ljubava is basically this knight is in the place of where the pawn would normally be, and when you play the Ljubava, it's more of a aggressive opening. So in some cases you're going for this, and in some cases you are just leaving the knight there to kind of control that area. So I'm not going to really go into the Ljubava at all in this video, but if you want to see if you want to see a video with just Ljubava kind of theory and stuff, maybe I'll make a video in the future. And I didn't want this video to be super long, just to give you the basics and maybe some a little bit more in-depth stuff. But if you want the real in-depth stuff, go find some other like, especially if you want to see how high-rated players play this, go find some Grandmaster games, things like that, where people implement these different ideas and tactics. And hopefully this was you gained some knowledge about how to play the London at a beginner intermediate level. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.